Mr. Speaker,
Mr. Money, for what purpose?
parliamentary inquiry.
State your inquiry.
Are we still operating under the 10-minute rule, or will there be time for questions at the end of Mr. Bonnen's layout?
10-minute rule is in effect the last several days of session.
Okay. Mr. Speaker,
Mr. Money, for what purpose?
will the gentleman yield for some questions?
Gentleman
Sure,
yield for
happy to
questions?
yield for questions.
He's happy to yield for questions.
Thank you, Mr. Bonnen. I know you have a lot to cover, and
We're almost there, but we're close enough. So.
I was going to give you more time, but we're running out of time. So I have a question regarding the motions to instruct that I previously made to instruct the conference committee on the use of tax dollars for gender-affirming care within the TEA and higher education. Was the House able to get those riders into the budget?
We have statutorily, banned any type of surgical or medical treatment of minors in the state of Texas.
There was instruction on. There was a motion to instruct on the instruction provided in higher education relating to that, not just actually performing the surgeries.
In higher education, there is no funding for gender-affirming care.
But was the rider able to make it in that says that they're not allowed to use any state money to teach people that they could be a different gender other than their biological sex?
I'd have to check on the specific rider that you're talking about, but by law and by our direction, I mean, we have done everything that we can to prevent that activity from occurring.
Okay, and then I have another unrelated question. I've heard on several occasions a number of $51 billion in property tax relief. Can you explain to us where that number 51 billion comes from, just historically, and so that we can see, because we're not getting 51 billion new this time. I know it's
right.
stacked up, so if you could explain
Correct.
that, I would appreciate it.
Yeah, because what happens is that what we're doing is instead of local property tax revenues paying for the maintenance and operations of our public schools, the state is funding that with state dollars, which supplants from the entitlement the local revenues generated by property taxes that would have otherwise helped to pay for that entitlement. And so as the state puts more and more in, when you come back and you add new strategies and you raise it further, you're not starting at zero, you're building on top of the commitment that you are already continuing to fund. That's how we end up at 54%. So in the time I've been in the legislature, this is the largest that the state's share of the foundation school program has ever been, at 54%. At one point it was dipping down into the upper 30s. And so the local property tax revenues were disproportionately funding the maintenance and operations of our schools. So the state is putting more and more into the foundation school program, and that has the effect of then fewer local property tax dollars paying for those maintenance and operations. And then that's also the reason why you see in this next biennium an additional $2 billion less in recapture.
So am I to understand that 51 billion is the total number of state dollars spent on ISD M&O?
That is not the total amount spent on ISD M&O. And so, for example, there was, I believe, about 41 billion in the current biennium. But then what we're going to do now, and of course it's somewhat contingent on the voters because of the constitutional amendments that we passed, is by further increasing the homestead exemption. So for everyone, another $40,000, making it $140,000. For seniors and the disabled, another $60,000, making it $200,000. We have the business personal property tax exemption going up to $125,000.
Right.
That is tax relief that's on top of what we've already been doing through rate compression, as well as previous increases in the homestead exemption. So just if you look at the homestead exemption alone, it was $15,000, and in 2021 we increased it, I believe, up to 40, or
Okay.
25 and went to 40. And then we went from 40 to 100 and 110 for seniors. And now we're going to 140 and to 200. So we're stacking relief on top of relief.
And I do understand that, and I think it's heading in the right direction. But and this being my first session, during the campaign, it was being said that the state had given $18 billion or so in property tax relief over the previous 2 or 3 sessions. And I don't know how we're getting from 18
Gentleman's
to 51.
time has expired.
Okay.
Please excuse Ms. Linda Garcia because of important business on motion of Ms. Perez Velpaso. Please